Apologies for the screen issue here, but we'll try and get some help. But in the meantime, Victoria, if you want to start, feel free. I have the agenda up.
All right, thank you so much. So time being 2:02 p.m., I will call the meeting of the JTPG to order. Can we do roll call, please?
Acushnet,
Here.
Attleboro, Berkeley, Carver.
Here.
Thank you. Dartmouth,
Here.
Dayton,
Present.
Fairhaven, Fall River,
Here.
Freetown, Lakeville,
Here.
Mansfield,
Here.
Marion,
Here.
Mattapoisett,
Here.
Middleborough, New Bedford,
Here.
North Attleboro, Norton, Plainville, Raynham,
Here.
Rehoboth, Rochester, Seekonk, Somerset,
Here.
Swansea,
Here.
Taunton, Wareham,
Here.
Westport,
Here.
at-large commissioner for Attleboro, getting some feedback. I don't know where it's coming from. All right, at-large commissioner from Fall River, at-large commissioner from New Bedford, Wareham.
Alan here.
Thanks, Alan. And
Fall
at-large,
River is here at large. Fall River. Sorry, I couldn't get my mute button off.
oh, no problem. Thanks, Gloria.
I'm gonna go back on mute.
Glad you can make it.
Andrea, did you get me as well?
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Kim Durant here.
Cameron, Rochester, thank you very much. Anyone else that I missed? All right, I think we're good to go. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Matt,
So we can move to item number 2, approval of minutes. If there are no questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the June 11th, 2025 meeting minutes as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Acushnet,
Yes.
Carver,
Yes.
Dartmouth,
Yes.
Dayton,
Yes.
Fall River,
Yes.
Lakeville,
I'll abstain.
thank you. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mattapoisett,
Yes.
Marion,
Yes.
New Bedford,
Abstain.
Stain, Raynham,
Yes.
Rochester, Stain, thank you. Somerset,
Abstain.
and Swansea,
Abstain.
Wareham, Westport,
Yes.
at-large commissioner for New Bedford,
Abstain.
Stain, at-large commissioner for Wareham,
Yes.
and at-large commissioner for Fall River.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes.
Fully in the room.
Yes.
Who was that last yes? Was it someone in the room?
In the room, Andrea. In the office.
Which town though?
Berkeley. Byron.
Berkeley. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. So item number 3, public comments. Is there anyone from the public that would like the opportunity to address the JTPG? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. Lisa, are you seeing anything on your end?
I am not.
Okay, alrighty. So we can move to item number 4, Regional Transit Authority reports. Is there anyone from our RTAs on that would like to give an update?
Mary Ellen DeFries with GATRA. I'm happy to report that we started the Gateway Link on August 4th, which connects Brockton, Taunton, and Fall River. And we have seen a surprising amount of ridership in these first few days. Apparently a lot of people want to come to Taunton, which is a good thing. So we're very excited to be able to, for the first time, connect Bristol County. And specifically with the stop at BCC, we can connect the 4 campuses of the community college through the 2 systems, but also the connection to the VA hospital in Brockton. And because we stop directly at those sites, it is more convenient than South Coast Rail, which doesn't bring you directly to those locations. So we will continue to monitor this program and see if it's successful, how we would be able to maintain this going forward in the future. Other than that, we are just gearing up for the fall and seeing what kind of new service enhancements we'll be able to put out on the road.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you, Mary Ellen. Is there anyone that has any questions? Okay, thank you so much. Do we have anyone from SRTA on to give an update?
Hi, yes, I'm Christina Mendoza. I'm the new director of transit planning at SRTA. I have no updates. I just wanted to come on and introduce myself and meet you all, and say I'm really excited to be working with you. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for introducing yourself. We're excited to work with you as well. Okay. That being said, we could move to item number 5, the MassDOT Local Early Stage and Actionable Planning LEAP Program presentation. Is someone here from MassDOT to present?
Yep. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Derek Cravat here from MassDOT Office of Transportation Planning. And I do have some slides that I can share on my screen if that works. Can you see this okay?
Yes, thank you.
All right, great. So this is a new opportunity that we've created at MassDOT, called the Local Early and Actionable Planning Program. This is put out by our new municipal planning and support team at MassDOT in Office of Transportation Planning, and I am the manager of that team, and we have 3 staff as well, and joined here today by my colleague Leah Pickett, who is going to be sort of the liaison for the Southeast Mass region. We'll present the second half of this slideshow as well. But we wanted to just give a quick overview of our team generally. So we are a new group. We were created by our leadership to help connect municipalities at the state level with new, mostly federal funding opportunities, but any opportunities as well. And the real kind of goal of this program is to provide technical assistance to really jumpstart infrastructure projects to get them ready for the receipt of funding or in line, say, for a transportation improvement program project, or maybe even a MassDOT state-funded program project as well. So helping to provide some planning and design services to support sort of those phases of project development. So the way we're structuring this program and sort of putting sort of the money behind that goal is to procure consultant support, where consultants that we procure will be providing those kind of early stage design and planning services. So we have an RFP out right now that's going to conclude in September, and then we'll have consultants on likely in October. And so we've opened our request form, which is linked on this slide, for communities to start making requests for this program. And then once we approve those, we'll have our consultant teams that will come on actually be the ones performing the work on behalf of communities. So I'll get into a little more what sort of specifically is considered an eligible activity, but just to give you a sense of scale, we're looking at kind of $25,000 to $100,000 per kind of project or planning effort or design effort, right? So it might not get full design for, say, a TIP project if it's a larger project, but it could help kind of get the early stage of design accomplished, or if it's design and engineering, say for a MassDOT Complete Streets project, that's something that's eligible here as well. So the process flow of how this will work is that a municipality will submit a request. We'll come up with a committee at MassDOT, and the RPA will be included in that. So SRPEDD staff will help us review submissions from this region, and then we will work with communities to either accept those for our consultant support that we're offering and scope it out, or we will maybe point in another direction if it feels like there's a better fit for the project elsewhere. And here's what some of the specific services that can be offered are. So things like conceptual design. Say you have a project in mind, but it's not fully yet scoped as to what kinds of interventions need to be made, right? There's, say an intersection improvement, but it could be a roundabout, it could be, a signal, it could be a road diet, et cetera. Like, it's unclear what the appropriate intervention is. Our consultant teams can help provide that kind of early stage kind of conceptual planning and scoping for larger scale projects. I mentioned things like engineering and design for complete streets projects, things like safe streets network strategy. So the city of Lynn is just an example that we link in our guidance because they actually produced something called the Safe Streets for People playbook that was almost like a complete streets prioritization plan with an eye toward safety instead of kind of complete streets. So that was an interesting example that our teams will be well equipped to address for other communities that may be interested in something similar. We can help with any federal grant applications, right? Sometimes they can be quite technical, and so offering support there, although we're well aware of federal grants opportunities being much kind of reduced from what they were in previous years. So again, kind of focusing here on general project development, but if there are grants that do come out, right, that's definitely part of our kind of list of services here. And then safety analysis, traffic analysis included as well, and just kind of run through these quickly in the interest of time, but just, you can get a flavor of what kinds of things we're offering. If there's these kinds of kind of more in the weeds engineering activities like site investigation, cost estimation, mapping support that might be needed for kind of early stage project development, those are all things that, we can offer through this as well. And just again, emphasizing that we'll be working in partnership with all the regional planning agencies to approve any requests that come in. And we're really looking to prioritize these services for communities that kind of lack the in-house resources to get projects underway. So we do have questions in our online forum that Leah will discuss in a second that kind of try to gauge what municipal capacity looks like. But we do have, in our guidance, kind of emphasis on support for rural communities and gateway cities. And then also looking at, if we were to provide these services, what's the path to implementation afterwards, to sort of identify what some next steps might be, or a community's experience in delivering on projects if you get technical assistance. So with that, I'll turn it over to Leah to cover the rest of the slides.
Yeah, thank you, Derek. So these are just a few screenshots from the Qualtrics survey through which you can submit your application. I'll also drop a link to the survey in this meeting chat so you guys can follow that link if desired. So we really tried to streamline this, make this as simple as possible. We're just asking for a project description, so in your own words, describing what the project is, and then providing any documentation as to project needs. So that could be any other planning documents that have identified the project, any data sets, or just in prose form, sort of describing in that box what the needs are and kind of what you've been hearing from the community. The next set of questions on the next slide are designed to get at the project's position in kind of the project development process. So we'd like to find out a little bit of information about any other funding sources that you all might be looking at to fund the project, whether the project has gone to PRC, and if so, has it already been approved? And then to sort of get a feel as to what would happen after this technical assistance was provided. We're asking about what we're calling momentum and implementation. So those are the steps that you all plan to take upon completion of this technical assistance. And then if you have it, we're also requesting the proposed scope and budget, understanding that these are very early phase projects, so it may not be applicable to all projects that are input into this system. And so we're going around the state making presentations to various groups, just trying to get the word out to solicit applications from folks. We're also internally working on building out an inventory of potential project locations based on a number of factors that may be good candidates for the LEAP program, and doing outreach based on the projects that we've identified. So we'll certainly be getting in touch to the extent that those come up in your region, but we're looking to both, solicit your ideas and kind of go out and approach municipalities with any thoughts we have about projects that may benefit from this type of support. And then, as Derek mentioned, we're a 4-person team. I am the designated team member for Southeast Mass, but feel free to contact Derek or I with any questions, and look forward to working with you all in the future.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's all 5 of it. We're happy to take any questions. Turn it back to you, Victoria.
Thank you so much. It sounds like a really great program that's being introduced for our communities. Does anyone have any questions? No. When did you say the deadline was to apply for this assistance?
Yeah, so it's open on kind of a rolling basis, but we did have September 30th sort of set as like a priority deadline, at least for the first kind of wave of requests. So that's when we'll be kind of starting to review the first set. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add? Okay. Thank you both so much for your time today and for giving the presentation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, so let's move to item number 6, community of practice discussion. So does anyone have, any of our members have anything we'd like to share? Any project updates, challenges, success stories, that sort of thing?
Victoria, can you hear me?
Yep.
There's a hand up.
I'm sorry, who has a hand up?
Nick?
Okay. I can't see it on my end, but
Okay, let me see. He's an attendee. I'm gonna allow him to talk.
okay, thank you.
Nick?
Hi. Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. How's it going? Nick Schoenberger, I'm with Mass Development. I work in Fall River. Going back to the grant program, LEAP, for projects identified by MassDOT that could be good candidates for this program. I guess, is that information going to be publicly shared, or how would we be able to learn about those potential projects?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we, at least right now, are not planning to make it's more of an exercise for us to kind of use internally to approach communities. But we can certainly look into, making those public. It's not like a very polished set of ideas. It's more just to kind of guide our outreach to make sure we're getting in touch. But it is, so I will say, like, the way we're doing it is actually based on regional and statewide planning efforts. So yeah, I think the Regional Vision Zero plan is a good example, right? We know, this Southeast Mass MPO recently endorsed your kind of comprehensive safety action plan. So any locations that were in that plan, for example, right, we have in our, like, we're kind of just creating a little bit of a inventory of what those locations are. And then if there are places that are, say, that we know might be kind of resource strapped that have a lot of safety needs, that could benefit from the kind of consultant support that we can offer to take those locations as like from a planning recommendation into project development. We're kind of looking at that and like proactively approaching communities that might have projects listed on plans like that, or say active transportation plans that are in clear need of some support. So it's more of like a, just kind of high level scan of locations that we're looking at. And if you want to get in touch as well, I can put our emails in the chat, and we're definitely happy to kind of share with you what we've documented in terms of that so far.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be great.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Does anyone have anything else about the MassDOT presentation? And Lisa, feel free to tell me if there's a hand. I didn't see that last one.
No worries, I will.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so hearing and seeing none, we can go back to item number 6, the community of practice discussion. Does anyone have any questions or project updates that they'd like to share about what's going on in their own community? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we can move to item number 7, the draft regional excavation route plan presentation and discussion. Evacuation, I apologize, evacuation. We have Kevin Ham from SRPEDD who's going to present.
Yeah, for the record, I'm not prepared to talk about the regional excavation plan. That's still in the works. No worries. So I hope this is not a surprise to anyone, but we've been working pretty hard last year-ish or so on a regional evacuation plan, and it's it's written, it's put together. We just gonna lay it out. So we just want to make sure everybody here has a chance to kind of understand what we found, what we've been through. So I'll go through the intro bits pretty quickly, but if anybody has any questions or any thoughts, let me know. We wanted to basically look at from a regional approach, look at the needs and the best practices that people are already doing and what recommendations we can make from regional level. There's a state evacuation plan, and a lot of our municipalities have evacuation plans, or at least the idea of evacuation plan. So we saw a gap in the regional level, as we often do, and wanted to kind of fill that. So we met with all of our municipalities, cities and towns in the SRPEDD region. We met with a lot of our partners and did a lot of research. And we basically looked at what we wanted: an event that would cause an evacuation that was not so small, like a small hazardous materials leak or something where you just be able to contain the problem with mutual aid or be kind of over and done quickly. But we didn't want something so devastating as a large hurricane or a large wildfire. So we looked at a Category 3 hurricane. It's kind of our main driver. So a lot of the things we talked about was, hey, here's what a Category 3 hurricane might look like. What would you think about evacuation? How would you do it? What problems would you run into? What infrastructure issues, transit issues, public health issues, you name it. So that's where we kind of started. We went through and talked to all of our communities here. And everybody had small minor issues that they were working through, but a lot of our communities had really good best practices that we were able to pull out. So I'll talk about those at the end. We did end up with a draft, I guess it's less draft now, but an actual set of routes. So this is just a text description. The actual routes themselves are on a GIS map, which I can pull up at the end. Not to say that these are the end-all be-all routing, but basically for any issue that Southeast Mass faces, we sort of figured these are our best bets. And these are really not surprises to anyone. It's our major highways first, it's our smaller highways second, and it's those known kind of side roads last. We don't there's no reason to try to pump a bunch of people through strange rural side roads that don't have any markings. But there are cases where a major highway gets impacted or a major bridge is shut down due to wind or whatever it may be. We want to identify what the next step would be, because trying to figure that out in a hurry can stink. We want to make sure that we have that all kind of codified. And again, there's nothing to say, that if somebody uses a different route, that we're gonna take away their toys. There might be a really good reason to use a different alternate route, but these are the ones that we came up with that just make the most sense, and hopefully people can just pull these off the shelf and use them if they ever need to. And especially if we look at doing like signage projects or wayfinding projects, or we look at partnering with some the MassDOT electronic sign folks so that everything jives, so folks have a clear guidance. We thought a lot about people leaving the Cape who don't know the area. They get them out. The people get off the Cape, they get across the bridges, and then they end up on either 495 or 195 or 3, and then where do they go? Right? They're going to need clear signage to get them further away from the potentially impacted areas, either to a shelter deeper in the state or back home to where they came from. And if they're not locals, they may not know that 195 is your best bet for going in these directions. 195 can also be very coastal, so maybe 495 is better. So we want to make sure that if we're making these recommendations, or if there's an issue, there's traffic on 495 that's already slowed down, we want to route more people to another route, that it all jives, right? Everybody's speaking from the same sheet of music. So the main thing I wanted to talk about, make sure I kind of went into more detail with y'all, was talk about some of the recommendations, best practices that we found. So one was reentry permitting. So we have a community that before people can go back into an affected area that has been evacuated, they get a reentry permit from another part of town. So they're not trying to jam into the area and cause traffic. They go to usually it's town hall or another like bigger area with parking, like a school. They make sure that the places that they're going back to is safe. They get a reentry permit issued, and that way they can safely get into the area. And that way you can sort of, not that you want to keep people out necessarily, but you want to reopen things a little cleaner, and you want to make sure that residents can get back in to their affected homes if it's safe, and sometimes it's not safe to get into certain areas. So having that decision point made by public safety officials at a central site is a lot better than having that decision made by a police officer trying to guard a checkpoint on a bridge or something into an area. So we're looking at reentry permitting and where we can maybe make that a little more regionalized, or where we can make that a little easier for other areas, other places to take the burden off of public safety, who's going to be doing a lot of responding still at the stage of an evacuation, post evacuation. We did find that, I'd say in most of our communities, there was a pretty clear chain of authority, but in some of our communities, it was a little less clear. In a couple of cases, the ability or the individual or the body that could actually officially order evacuation was like a body that has to meet, like a city council or a town council or something, a selectman, something like that, which means that in an emergency, it can be very tough to get that group together, right? So you have people making decisions without making the decision anyway without them. So we wanted to make sure that everybody has a nice clear, here's who can order an evacuation. Obviously those boards and city council and selectmen should be involved in the decision, but having to wait for them to officially meet and convene to make a decision can cost time. And then in a few cases, we found that it might be really clear, say the fire chief, who's the emergency management director, they have the authority, but if they're on vacation, there wasn't in all cases a clear delegation that the next in line is this person. And again, what we want to avoid is the deputy who knows what they're doing, but they go, well, I'm not sure I can order it. I know the chief can order it. I don't know if I can. Again, that's going to cost time and evacuation. We don't want to cost time. So a few places where we can make that a little clearer. It's never going to hurt to have that delegated authority, written up ahead of time, so if somebody's either on vacation or even if somebody's affected by the disaster and can't make the order, that it can be made, well. We have a few CERT teams, the community emergency response teams in our area. CERT's been very affected by COVID and just the fact that it's tougher and tougher to get volunteers for anything these days. So there is a pretty good concept from Cape Cod, Brewster, Orleans, Chatham, Harwich. They have a regional CERT. They pool their resources, they pool their CERT funding, they pool their CERT members, they pool their CERT stuff, and they can accomplish a lot more responses within their area. So I think regionalizing some CERT or regionalizing some CERT teams in our region would be very beneficial. Again, very few of our 27 communities have a dedicated CERT team. We do have a couple that are very strong, But for those areas that aren't that strong, being able to regionalize would allow them to share assets and share, and in a lot of cases, share funding, which can be the biggest. I'd say one of our most successful CERT teams is Mansfield, and the reason they're successful is they're very well funded. So if we can regionalize some of that stuff, then they can potentially towns that don't have as much funding can pool their funding together and keep a regional CERT team staffed for things like sheltering and canteening and emergency response and things like that. We did a lot of work on public information and warning. So, almost all of our towns and cities and towns have some way to communicate to the public. In a lot of cases, it's a system called Code Red, but there are a couple other ones out there. The state uses a different system. There's a few systems. There's a system called Rave, Everbridge. And while it'd be nice in a perfect world to wave the magic wand, get everyone on one system, it'd be even better if we could get all of the citizens onto any system. That uptake rate is low. In a lot of cases, people either don't know it exists or they don't think it's for them. So we just want to make sure we get out there. Pretty much anytime SRPEDD out in the community or around the community, we want to make sure we have some good signage posted that, ask the question, are you signed up to receive emergency alerts? Can we sign you up? Can we get you on there? And then we want to make sure we heard from some citizens out there that they used to be signed up, but then it would be overused. They get emails and texts about water hydrant flushing and things. So we want to make sure that our communities keep this to strictly, Amber Alerts, missing persons, evacuation alerts, hazards and threats, things that really truly need to be put out to the community. And so, and sometimes a lot of cases they can have a separate opt-in for those like municipal notices if people want it, but we don't want to drive people off of the emergency list if they're getting spammed with too many things they feel it isn't emergent, right? So we want to do a lot of work there. Regionalized sheltering came up a lot, right? Again, gone are the days where every city and town can open up their own shelter. Resourcing a shelter for 3 days takes a lot of manpower, a lot of medical professionals, CERT type professionals, police and fire, EMS. It takes a lot to get a shelter running. So again, if we can regionalize those and split those costs across multiple communities, we should try to do that. Historically, when there's a need, everybody in our region tends to rise up. But if we don't set things up ahead of time, like the simple stuff, like who's going to pay for things, who's going to transport things, if I open up a regional shelter in, for example, in Wareham, and someone from Marion and Mattapoisett comes there, who transports them, who pays for that transport, how do we get them back, who pays for the stuff while they're there? That's all easy to figure out ahead of time, but it's very tough to figure out in the heat of the moment when there's a lot of response going on. So trying to find out where we can set up regional shelters is going to be huge. Regional shelters also benefit from having potential Red Cross support and other state support, whereas those entities don't have the ability to assist with every non-regional shelter out there. So regionalizing shelters is going to be huge. And in some of our communities, they already do it. And some places like Middleborough, Mansfield have already stepped up and said they'd be more than willing to try to be the spearhead on that. So we got a lot of work to do there. In a lot of these cases, some of these things, there's already handshake agreements, or again, if there's an emergency, like we saw with like Brockton Hospital, everybody steps up, but we're trying to find where we can promulgate memorandums of understanding. Again, where can we codify some of the silly stuff, like, again, who gets paid for transporting, who pays for the lunch and dinner, the shelter, if it's half Wareham clients and half Mattapoisett clients, who actually pays for the food, right? All those silly things we can figure out now and across the table, nice and easy, and then we can put it in MOU so that there's no worry about it. And that way, when the person who made the handshake agreement retires or moves to another community, that agreement stays in place, right? We're not trying to reinvent the wheel every time. And again, that includes stuff like regional shelters, regional CERT. So SRPEDD is in a good position to help draft those MOUs and get them put into place, convene, get folks together. Some future projects, again, regional CERT, regional SEMP, they kind of go hand in hand. Every community has an emergency management plan. The state has a plan. Much like evacuation planning in general, there's a gap at the regional level. So again, if we're going to regionalize some response and regionalize some shelter, regionalize prevention and things, and we may as well regionalize some of the planning. So SRPEDD's going to try to figure out where we can work there. I already mentioned trying to get more people signed up for Code Red. Excuse me. Again, behind a perfect world will be 100%. We're never going to get there, but I'd like to see more than we're at now. We're talking a little bit about funding options. As Derek had mentioned, some of those have come and gone pretty quickly with the way the feds are changing things, but we are going to talk about those. And we do have some easy next steps, some things we've already identified. for future work. One of them is we got some funding to run some tabletop exercises, to do regional tabletops based on evacuation. So I do want to throw it out to folks. I think I know where we can run these because it's going to be kind of spotted around the region. But if your community feels strongly, or you want to put your hand up to be one of those host communities, maybe where the incident happens or where the evacuation goes through, then we'll pull in your neighbors and we'll do an exercise there. Please reach out. It's easier if you come to me than I have to knock on everybody's door to see who wants to do one. So if you're interested in an evacuation tabletop, please let me know. We're going to try to help folks seek funding based on some of these proposals. Again, it's if all I do is shout that we need regional sheltering, it doesn't help. But we're going to go out there and try to find some funding to make that happen. Then we can really get going, even if it's just buying regional sheltering equipment or regional shelter training, etc. We're already starting to work on stuff like distributing materials about public information and warning. Trying to get that out there. And again, those 3 tabletop exercises. We want to make sure we distribute that pretty far and wide. And then anywhere where we can improve this routing, at least I probably wouldn't put a sign everywhere, but it's be nice to be able to, if you're leaving the Cape, it'd be nice to be able to follow evacuation signs all the way out of the affected area. If you're leaving, the beaches on the South Coast here, where to get away from things, we should be able to follow a sign that makes sense. So finding signs and wayfinding projects could be good. And then it also includes stuff like getting more electronic signboards so that people can, if those routes change or things get added and subtracted, they can get, you can quickly change it rather than having to have a physical sign that's always attached there. And then again, talking about including some of the routing information in the project prioritization purposes, try to prioritize evacuation routes or things that are going to improve evacuation routing, things like that. So that's all I really had. If people have specific questions, I'm happy to answer them. I know this will go out for a comment. I think later next month, and it'll be laid out here shortly. So I'm sure everybody will get a chance to read it in depth. But otherwise, that's all I've got. Happy to answer questions.
When can we expect to see this?
I believe it'll go out for public comment next month, but you guys should get it before that. I defer to either Jackie or somebody from upstairs. I know Jackie's working on laying it out for the exact timing, but it's written. It's just a matter of getting it put together. So it should be soon.
Add to that, we will release for public comment in September, and then we're gonna look to for the MPO to endorse it in October.
Thank you, Lisa.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you so much for the presentation on the evacuation plan. If any of your communities want to do the tabletop exercise, like Kevin mentioned, feel free to reach out to him. And then I guess we look forward to receiving the plan in September for the public comment period. Okay, if there's nothing else on this item, we can move to item number 8. The FFY 2025 to 2029 TIP project status updates. And I believe we have someone from MassDOT here to give this update.
Hi, thank you, Victoria. It's Barbara LaChance from MassDOT District 5, giving some project updates for everybody. The first project I have is Mansfield Multimodal Accommodations on School Street from Spring Street to West Street. This project was advertised and the bids were opened at the end of July, but they have not been awarded yet for this project. Next is Lakeville, reconstruction and related work on Rhode Island Road, which is Route 79, from the Taunton City line to Clear Pond Road. The design for this project is wrapping up and we're moving towards an August 30th advertising date. Next we have Wareham, corridor improvements on Route 6 at Swiss Beach Road, which is currently in the PS&E stage. We just completed the first PS&E submission at the end of June. Next is Dartmouth, corridor improvements on Route 6 from Fons Corner Road to Hathaway Road. This is currently at the 75% stage with the 100% anticipated the end of December of this year. Let's see. And next we have Norton intersection improvements at West Main Street, which is Route 123, North and South Worcester Streets, which is currently at the PS&E stage also. And PS&E revision 2 was received at the end of July and is currently under review. Next is Westport intersection improvements at Route 177 at Roberts Road and Tickle Road, which is currently at the 75% design stage. We are waiting for the 100% design submission to be submitted. Mansfield, Chauncey Street, which is Route 106, improvements. This is phase 2. It's currently less than 25%. It's in the pre-25% stage. We reviewed the checklist back in February for this project. Next is Plainville, reconstruction of South Street, which is Route 1A from Charlene Lane to Everett Street. This is currently at the 25% stage. We're waiting for the revised revision 2 for the 25% design submission for this project. Let's see. Next we have Mattapoisett. This is corridor improvements and related work on Main Street, Water Street, Beacon Street, and Marion Road, which is currently at the 25% design stage. Let's see, we just had a revised 25% comment resolution meeting. Let's see. Oh, it's the meeting's going to be August 20th. I'm sorry, with the 75% submissions are due the end of December. New Bedford corridor improvements on Tappan Hill Road and Ashley Boulevard is currently pre-25 with the 25% submission anticipated February of 26. Next is Middleborough reconstruction and related work on Wareham Street and Wood Street, which is currently at 25%. Let's see. We just finished up a sketch plan review of the 25% in August. So that's moving forward. And we expect the 75s in February of 26. Next is New Bedford intersection improvement, Mount Pleasant and Nash Road. Let's see, this is at the 25%, and we had a comment resolution meeting for this just this past week, actually, for this project. That's also moving forward. And we anticipate the 75s in February of next year. Next, we have Attleboro corridor improvements on 123 from Longford Road to Thatcher Street is currently at the 25% stage. We just completed, design justification workbook revision 1 review, and where we had a utility field meeting for this project. And last few coming up, Wareham shade use path construction. This is Narrows Road and Minot Ave. It's currently at the 25. We're waiting the revised 25% submission for this project. Dartmouth corridor improvements on Dartmouth Street and Prospect Street is currently at 25%, and I believe we're waiting for another submission on this project also. We haven't seen anything on this in a while. So Dartmouth Crossroad corridor improvements is at 25%, and we're waiting on the 75% design submission for this project also. New Bedford, this is the last one. New Bedford corridor improvements on County Street from Union Street to Kempton Street is currently still in the pre-25% design stage. We did receive the scoping checklist in July, and we completed our review for that just this past week. That's it for updates, Victoria. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. Barbara, the Swift Beach Road project was originally supposed to happen in 2024. There was a delay on the state side, not the town. We now have the affordable housing, senior housing project done in full at over 120 units on that road. Some residents are in, and Damien's Pantry, which is right at that intersection as well, is running full blast. Greatly disappointed that we haven't got that thing in and running. We were promised originally 2024 on that. But again, no fault to Wareham. Thank you.
No, thank you, Alan. I know it is moving forward. It is at PS&E. I'm not sure if there's going to be another PS&E submission for that or not. I mean, I don't know. Right now it's scheduled for March advertising. So, I mean, if it's ready sooner, they always look in when we have our weekly meetings on this. I mean, if things are ready sooner, they're always moving up and moving back and moving up and moving back. So we'll see how it goes. But it isn't, it's getting close. It's in like the PS&E stage. So we'll see where
whatever you can do. We're getting a lot of flack on this one.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Does anyone else have any questions on their community's projects or just in general? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Thank you so much, Barbara, for the update.
Thank you. If anybody has any questions, they can always email. Thank you.
Thank you. So we can go to item number 9, other business. Lisa, you want to take this one?
Yeah, thank you, Victoria. Just wanted to announce a couple of meetings that are coming up. You can see all those on the screen. We'll also send out this information after this meeting. So we have some public information meetings for the Marion Wareham Bridge replacement, Marion Road, Wareham Road, Route 6 over the Weebiantic River. That's gonna take place on Thursday, August 21st. New Bedford Interstate 195, Route 18 interchange. That virtual meeting is gonna take place on August 27th. There is going to be safe routes to school signs and lines and infrastructure informational webinar. That is gonna take place on Wednesday, September 3rd. And then I also want to announce Mass DOT's 2025 Moving Together Conference, which is taking place on October 28th at the Sheraton Boston Hotel. Early registration does close on August 27th, and it does fill up fast, so I would encourage you to sign up if you're interested in that. Like I said, we'll get all this information out to you with those links, so if you want to register for any of those meetings or the conference itself. And that's all I have, Victoria.
Thank you for sharing. Does anyone have any questions on any of those meetings, those upcoming meetings? Okay. All right, so we can go to item number 10, date and time for next meeting, September 10th at 2 p.m. And this will also be a hybrid setup, right, Lisa?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. All right, if no one has anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn at 2:48 p.m.
So move.
You're fast.
Second,
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.
you too. Be safe.